All right, we can have a seat. So we initially planned for an army, but we ended up with the Master 300. So what I'd also like to do, organizers, is pass around a few mics to the crowd, so that whenever we have questions, we can deal with that. So, see a lot of young faces in the room. I'm assuming many of you are studying across different engineering colleges, management colleges in Ahmedabad. The topic for today that we're going to be deliberating on is public-private partnerships for rural tech transformation. And how I'd like to run the entire session is first explain what PPP means and how would PPP be relevant to everyone in the audience today. The second aspect that we should target upon is what are some successful models within rural that we've seen work? And we have three distinguished guests here, one on the real estate side, one on, say, digital public infrastructure, DPI, DPG, and other on, say, satellite systems as well as GIS information. So we have a plethora of experience on the panel today and would like to understand PPP models that have worked within their sphere. And lastly, I also throw a curveball at most of my panelists on questions that I don't share, is what is that one idea you would like to put out there for the audience here so that if they were to start a startup tomorrow or they were to work on an idea tomorrow, where do you see the largest white space for them to target? So probably we can deliberate over that towards the end of the discussion, but it'd be good if we can start putting ideas out there. With that, I'd like the panelists to probably spend a minute introducing you and the company, and then we can take these discussions forward.
Hi, morning everyone. I am Birju Patel. I represent PropLegit. PropLegit was established in 2019 as a fintech company, and our goal and mission is to transform the way the agriculture and the lab credit system works in India. Thank you.
I have my own mic. Thank you. Hi, Devashish Sharma. I'm heading product and engineering for RightData. I'm also IDC head for India businesses. The RightData as a product or an organization for different products essentially helps multiple organizations to manage and maintain their data into different form and format, starting from data quality to data democratization, data governance, and finally to data observability. The product essentially is being focused to take care from the nitty-gritties of the data challenges with organizations across the board face. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good morning. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to the Earth Summit. My name is Manthan Soni. I am a Senior Vice President with Amnex Infotechnologies. I lead their geospatial business for India and international. We primarily work with government in solving problems both in urban and rural areas. Some of the work that we are doing is in agriculture, where we are leveraging satellite and artificial intelligence technologies to deliver solutions that are on ground for farmers from the government. Yeah, that's the brief, and I think more we'll talk about in the panel discussion.
Yeah, awesome. So, okay, now let me take a step back. All right, and Devashish, why don't you start, right? Why don't you help us unpack what PPP means in the context and the industry that you work in? What is this one PPP model that people can relate to that is working well? And what was the driving factor in it working well? How did public, private, and other partners come together to actually drive the initiative on ground?
That's a very good question to start with, right? I mean, I'm not sure how much of you guys are aware of PPP as a government initiative. It stands for Public-Private Partnership. Essentially, is used to fast track all the engagements the government is participating to make sure that there is a larger outreach. The organizations are continuously been collaboratively working together to make sure that it reaches to the end customer as early as possible. And you understand India is a large country with a lot of people and a lot of different magnitudes that we are dealing with. So PPP is initiative that is to make sure that what we are going to achieve in 10 years, we can achieve that in 3, right? And organizations are actively working on it. Coming back to how and what has gone well is there are data from different organizations, smaller organizations like cooperative banks, like panchayats, like farmer unions. They are being segregated across the board and they have their own different challenges, right? I mean, there are regional challenges, there are divisional challenges, there are growth challenges, and so on and so forth. PPP is bringing that kind of a platform, and we can essentially create that enterprise platform across the board where all the challenges, because there is a problem and there is a solution. What the problem is that both of them are not talking to each other. The problem is in Kanyakumari, the solution is in Orissa, and if they do not talk to each other, it won't work. So the enterprise platform that is being working out across the board with PPP coming in, I think that is where we are seeing actual growth which is coming in. The other part is that when organizations work together to solve the data quality issues, to get the integrations along the board, the data is brought as a platform, and I think more to be actionable, that essentially is going to solve this problem, and I think teams are essentially working at it already.
So, I mean, so are you saying everything is PPP in India today?
If not, there should be, right? There's a lot of hope and there is a lot of opportunity which we can already put in. See, the only way to excel is engagement, cooperation. If we are seeing that organizations continue to work they're going to keep making their own tires, right? And then we want to make sure that all the wheels which have been made, we don't remanufacture them.
Fair, fair. And I think you've also spoken about an interesting point, which is foundational information, right? Foundational information, which is authentic, accurate, verified. That takes me to the next question, and Birju, would like you to lean in, right? When we look at land records, especially in the rural context, they play a very important role. I think that's the first identifier for financial inclusion. Any loan product, etc., today is given on the basis of that. Again, let me now talk a little bit about how your organization is providing this information to the banking community so that the private players can then come in and drive either finance or different financial products. And my second element to this question would be for tenant farmers. When we look at tenant farmers, there are about 7 to 8 crore tenant farmers and a similar amount of KCCs that are there in the market today. You can't identify them through land records. So hence they are moderately outside the financial inclusion spectrum. So firstly, how does your data and information support the private sector? And B, what initiatives exist to help bring this level of inclusion into the mainstream?
Sure. So let me begin by giving an undeniable fact that, land is the foundation of every rural investment, I would say.
Yeah.
Be it agriculture, infrastructure, housing, or industry.
Yeah.
But today, land records and systems in India vary from state to state. There is non-standardization of data.
Correct.
And Devashish already pointed out that, challenges in terms of regional language, documents translated into English and then interpreted. So that is the key issue which is, facing the, I would say, the lending industry currently.
Yeah.
Now, we have analyzed and we have gone through some state models.
Yeah.
So if I may say, states like Gujarat, Maharashtra,
Madhya Pradesh.
southern states, mostly, they have a standardized data sets, for key data pointers which are used to make a disbursement decision.
Correct.
But on the other hand, if I talk about some of the northern states, like say Punjab, Haryana, those data sets are not standardized, nor integrated into the land record.
Yeah.
So this, makes the situation worse for the lenders. The disbursement cycle, extends, beyond 5, 10, 15 days also in some cases.
Yeah.
And there are discrepancies, pre-disbursement.
Yeah.
So we have tried to figure out, how best a PPP model can, work in here.
Yeah.
So for, our kind of a platform, government, lenders and borrowers, and the private sector players like, PropLegit.
Yeah.
Those are the key elements which should come together and drive this association to the next level.
Got it.
If I give an example of PropLegit, then we have standardized around 16 to 17 states wherein the data is in good format, you know,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because of doing that thing, we have been able to provide solutions to the lenders,
Got it.
which resolves three critical challenges for them: that is speed, accuracy, and the compliance part.
Got it.
At the same time, for the borrowers, we are trying to educate them because right now there is no awareness in terms of what my land record is.
Correct.
Is there any charges or encumbrances on my piece
Yeah.
of land? So we are trying to educate them and push them to see that they check the transactions on a routinely basis
Mm.
so that the fraud cases are less going forward.
Got it.
So that's how we are trying to work out a model
Correct.
in which there is a benefit for all: the private sector, the public sector, the direct beneficiaries, the farmers themselves,
Yeah.
with the key role of government entities like NABARD and RBI.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah,
I'd
please.
like to add a point
Yeah.
there. So, the consistent engagement which is coming out across the board with the differences on the documentation, differences on the way it has been stored, differences of how it has been maintained, it creates a larger spectrum of scope for data quality.
Mm.
So if you see, there are data which have been existing in a different form and format. One state or one city or one area has been renamed 3 times or 4 times.
Correct.
And there are names which are being used by different organizations differently. And that causes a huge amount of a data discrepancy, even if the data is consistent.
If you could just give some examples to the audience as to
So
yeah,
let's take this
which
example.
which everyone could relate with.
So there is a city called Gurgaon, which is next to Delhi. Few organizations or few documents call it Delhi NCR.
Mm-hmm.
Few call it Gurugram.
Mm.
Few call it Gurgaon. Few will say that it's Haryana district. And then it becomes absolutely mess, right? I mean, there's a personal situation that we found an old document of a property that we had in Agra, and we could not find that place anymore because that's been renamed 3 times already. And then now there is a road which has been constructed on it, and we cannot claim it back.
Okay.
Because of the documentation mismatches, because of the documentation those days was signed by Pradhan, now it has been registered under registrar, and all these mess creates
Got it.
a huge possibility of data quality. Now, when we are looking at data quality, we have to wear multiple hats, multiple eyes. And audience over here, I'm sure that you guys are very proactive in terms of learning new technologies. AI is the new future of this. There are fuzzy matches that we have to create so that we understand what can be the variation of these data sets and how we can read them in consolidation.
So before I move to Manthan, so what is one idea that you are putting out there basis what you just said? Where is a gap that exists today in, say, land record digitization in terms of your entire space that you would want the community to work on?
So again, as I said earlier also, I'll stick to the same point.
Yeah.
Standardization of land records and systems, across the state. I know and I'm very well aware that land is a state subject.
Correct.
But I think unless and until there is some push from the central government in terms of standardizing the data availability across the states,
Yeah.
problems which Devashish mentioned, it is just tip of the iceberg. I would
Got
say.
it.
There
Got
are
it.
many more problems, who arise.
Got
That
it.
arises out of this situation.
Got it.
So I'll just add to one more example, for let's say I talked about Gujarat, Maharashtra and some of the other southern states. So there we have a very clear visibility in terms of the mutation entries, that are made a part of the land record itself. Now, as I told about northern states like, let's say for example, Haryana, even though mutation entries are made, but the transaction descriptions are not mentioned in the land records. There is a Jamabandi. So this delays the entire chain because someone has to physically go to the Tehsildar office, do an application, pay the fees. Officer may be on leave. He may not be able to provide the data immediately. This extends the disbursement cycle
Got it.
beyond 10-15 days.
Got it.
So vis-a-vis the data standardization states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, within 24 hours, we are able to provide the entire pre-disbursement loan eligibility report because of the benefit of the data standardization.
Understood. Now, Manthan, I think coming to frontier tech, coming to GIS, coming to AI-based monitoring, etc. Where do you see the opportunities in plugging issues that both Devashish as well as Birju have highlighted in terms of base primary information availability?
So, Pranav, I believe in India, land and location intelligence is actually the missing link between the eligibility and the access,
Yeah.
and which is what we are trying to solve at Amnex. This is what we believe in. There are technologies available today wherein we can leverage remote sensing based data, which is generally the satellite based data, and overlay artificial intelligence on top of it to identify plot level monitoring of each crop, be it type of crop, be it damages happening to the crop, be it the yield or acreage estimation. So in some of the states that we are working with, we are leveraging this information, and we are delivering certain data sets to the government in partnership with government, wherein this is directly directed to the farmers and communities. And this is how we are trying to solve problems related to, identifying the eligibility for KCC lending, or reducing the disputes, or identifying even the ownership for that matter. And as we said, land records is again one very tricky subject, because it is of course a state level subject, and each state operates differently. But technologies like geospatial intelligence with artificial intelligence and remote sensing can help standardized, because land eventually is related to location.
Yeah.
And information needs to be tagged with the location.
Yeah.
The problem is to identify areas where we can institutionalize the creation and management of this data, and create channels to give it to the right consumers, be it farmers, cooperatives, or even the departments and the government. So I think at Amnex, we are trying to solve that problem. We are trying to create DPIs which can not only work for one state, but can be replicated to multiple states or even at central level.
And you spoke of an interesting point, which is about creating DPIs, DPGs so that it can scale, right? What's stopping you? What's the inherent factor which DFIs like NABARD, which the state government can unlock, so that you can scale across all states, and also to today stakeholders who are not included in the formal ecosystem?
So Pranav, that's an interesting question. So that also leads me to probably the issues that are there today in delivering PPP based projects. Now, creating DPI is not a problem. The problem is the ecosystem that needs to be supporting building such platforms. We have UPI in place as on today, probably one of the biggest example of that. But what is missing is, I would say, three important parts. One is the clear ownership. In defining such PPP models which can develop certain platforms, it is very important to thoughtfully identify the clarity of ownership, which essentially should be government to be the custodian of the data. Second is interoperability. And Mr. Birju rightly mentioned that we need to identify standards which can allow systems to be developed which are interoperable and can be shared with multiple other systems that are there in government. And last is keeping all this in mind, the North Star should always be the citizen, the farmer, the cooperatives. The challenge is all these three things are not coming together as on today. Technology is always the easier problem to solve. We spoke about it earlier. The problem is on the institutionalization of bringing all these three things together. So that's probably the challenge, and I think we are slowly moving inch by inch to sort of bringing those three things together.
Understood. And Devashish, we have a lot of, NABARD stakeholders here. We have a lot of other DFIs as well as foundations. What are some programs and initiatives that you think DFIs like NABARD should target and solve to, bridge this market failure that exists?
I would not say this is a market failure as yet, right? I mean, we are starting up in this initiative, and then an initiative, like I said before, large initiatives that requires adoption across the country would take time. There are going to be lessons which are going to be learned. And like I always say, that nobody lose their job when they make a mistake. They lose it when they don't know how to fix it. So idea is that if there is a failure, there has to be a very quick return on track strategy that needs to be created. The adoption will have its own challenges. But are we making tools, are we making projects which are keeping in mind that the whole nation can be benefited with that, right? Because one problem cannot solve all the issues. We have to find different solutions for different issues across the board. Now coming to talking about, I can speak about data because I only know that. So when we are talking about integrities of the data, when we are seeing that there is a data platform which is in a cooperative bank in Anand district, some rural village, versus a data which is sitting in a cooperative bank, say for example in Tamil Nadu, Madurai district, those will have their own different data sets. They would have their own different data definitions. They will be solving the same problem for the customers though, but the way that they are storing or managing that data, that becomes a problem. That is where organizations like RightData come into the play, where we create data as a platform. And like it's always, they say not every past is history. Similarly, not every data is an asset. So the data asset creation, creating those data products which are where they are, let it be there itself. Don't try to boil the ocean, bring them together, create a large data lake where you do not know what is inside it and run analytics on top of it. Rather, let it be where it is, create the channel for consumption. Mm-hmm. It's more of data democratization rather than data consolidation as a play. So democratize the data with the wrapper of data governance on top of it so that right people have right access. At the same time, that they make copies of the copies of it. Because whenever you make a copy, that is where you are dealing with stale data.
Got it. No, that's also interesting. And just for the audience here, so now there's a lot of talk about innovation sandboxes, right? And innovation sandboxes to test out new technology, to get access to proprietary data, to build on top. Where Birju or anyone, right? I mean, to the students out here, where can they go to access this sandbox? Like, where does it exist? How do they get access to these proprietary data sets? Which platforms do they build on top? Like, how do they get access to all of this from the government or from the ecosystem to build on top?
So RBI Hub, is an agency which is trying to bring up the innovation in the fintech industry per se, and encouraging tech players, to participate. So they have a ULI sandbox in place right now, wherein the students who are, let's say, having a final year project with them, or the other tech players, like PropLegit, who have new and innovative solutions, to offer to resolve the issues that the industry is facing. So they can go there, explore, and see that, they learn out of that experience, before they jump into the, cruel world of corporate.
Okay. And how do they access this?
So it's an easy process. They just need to register on, RBI Hub's website, and then provide some basic details as to what innovation they are trying to bring, how it will work. And then they can get an access to the platform for testing out their solutions.
That's great. Now, shifting gears to just so that everyone can relate to out here, what is that one PPP model that you have seen which has worked well in India? Like, if you could just name what it was, what were its success factors, what were some things that should actually scale from there, would be really helpful. And we also have other NABARD stakeholders in the room who know not about rural infrastructure altogether, and we'll bring them in also to layer thoughts on this.
So I'll just give an example of ULI again in this initiative. So 2-3 years back, it was started, but today I think 15 to 20 tech players are part of that initiative. So in order to extend, that further and strengthen that further, I think RBI Hub and players like NABARD can, encourage the new innovators, to design solutions and then test it across. But without the, inclusion of specific players who are already working in that field, Devashish pointed out that the collaboration part is missing between, three critical players, be it government, private, and public sector. So unless that, happens, the outcome will not be, what we want actually. So that's one of the examples, that I can relate very easily.
Okay.
To me, I think I'll again go back to one of the classic examples that we are actually delivering with some of the state governments working on initiatives wherein we are leveraging technologies of future. For instance, I'll give you a very basic example. And I said earlier, we are using drone data is very, very easily available today. So we are using drone data, satellite data, mobile phone information, clubbing them together to develop a system that is accessible to field level farmers. We have been able to register close to about 6 crore farmers on our platform and allowing them in their local language to one, not only understand their crop level information, but also handle that information in the meaningful way. We are using AI-based technologies and allowing the farmers to just clicking the photo of the crop and identifying whether or not if there is a damage to the crop, whether or not the farmer needs a pesticide at this point in time, and what is the growth level and what is the right crop cutting time. And this information is also then probably passed on to other parties like insurers and banks, which will help evaluate, let's say in case of a damage, what is the level of insurance that needs to be, or the claim needs to be given to the farmers. And this is all driven by government in partnership with us. And similar initiatives have been happening in past. For example, from a land records point of view, there are land records modernization programs that government has taken on in past. And they have engaged private players to identify the exact land mapping, land verification using geospatial technology, and integrating that with the record of RightData or land records information, and then sort of creating a platform to deliver that to multiple resources. So that is couple of few examples that is being built.
Okay, great. I'll come back to you. I think I've been getting incessant texts from the organizers. Then let's move to the audience, right? Let's try to hear from them. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask our esteemed panelists here on any of the topics that they've spoken about, or would like to, add into the discussion? I see a lot of smiles in the room. Yeah, yes, please. Can you speak in a loud voice? Awesome.
So one is, of course, in India, we are at rural areas, we are not data poor. We are data disconnected. And the reason behind this is the right infrastructure not being accessed by the right people. Now today you must have heard of initiatives like BharatNet, which has given connectivity till the Gram Panchayats. But do your farmers leverage that? I don't think so. It is still the Gram Panchayat office only. Are your farmers aware of such a system which will allow them to leverage that information and access that data that can probably connect them with the institution and the government? No, not largely happening in India. So there is problem of awareness. Second is problem of institution. There is no last mile or frontline workers who are trained to spread this awareness to the farmers or the cooperatives. Now, that is one major missing link that I personally feel is an area. Also, lack of ownerships at every level, and which of course needs to be defined by the government, and government has been taking constant initiatives to fix that. So I think these are 2-3 reasons, which is why this bridge is not yet filled.
And I think Manthan did not say that they are not coming together. He said they are not together. So there is always an opportunity to come together.
Correct. I agree.
कोई और क्वेश्चन है किसी के पास? Sir, ठीक है. That's a very good question. We will layer that on with another question which the audience will ask. Okay. ठीक है.
So I think I will try and probably answer that. Government has been taking multiple initiatives to bring in such startups to the ecosystem. So today, if you see, you have special allocations to startups and MSME sort of enterprises in government tenders. And they allow these players and innovators to contribute to the larger initiative that they are taking. So if you see, if there is a huge tender that is coming out with, multi-crores of budget, they will also ensure that with the larger party that comes and deliver the work, they will allow certain MSMEs or startups or innovators to sort of work with them to build on the idea that they have. So there are certain provisions that are available at the government on state level as well as central level as well. Then there are initiatives that government and state departments taking where they are running hackathons, wherein they are allowing academia, innovators, startups to come in and give their ideas and pitch their ideas to government. And if the ideas are liked by the government, then they sort of give them a bit of investment or platform to develop their product and scale it up further. So I think there are initiatives that have been taken by government at certain level. I think that's to my knowledge, that can be one area that can be leveraged.
So I think we're reaching the end of today's discussion. Oh, yes, sir. So let me just reiterate it for the crowd in case they didn't hear the question. And let me just take the liberty to rephrase. So what you're asking is what are some PPP models that are available for farmers at the last mile, such that they can use it throughout the entire agriculture process in terms of inputs, production, market linkage, etc., so that they can drive income at the last mile.
So one such example I have been mentioning, for example, in Gujarat itself, we are doing and we are working with state government of Gujarat with the agriculture department, where we are developing this platform, and the platform is available to the farmers in form of a mobile app where it's called Crop Track. They can easily access that mobile app and leverage information related to their specific plot, monitor the crop acreage, monitor the crop yield estimation, which has been delivered to them through analytics that we have sort of run and processed over the satellite images and the remote sensing and the drone data that we have captured. If a specific farmer has a specific problem in a specific season related to damage or flooding, then we leverage drone and UAV sort of data and give specific information and identify what is the level of damage that has happened to high level of accuracy, which will ease the validation of insurance claims to the farmers. And that is easily accessible to them on the mobile app. So there are certain platforms that are being built by government. In fact, in AgriStack at central level, they are registering each farmer and they're creating farmer cards, like an Aadhaar card, where the farmer will get information of their crop type, season by season, their piece of land information, the cadastral map information with location and details. And that remains like a unbreakable farmer card code for them forever. So we have been able to register about 5 to 6 crore farmers on that platform. So yes, there are certain platforms available.
Just to add, there's NAB Kisan and SSPL initiatives as well, which are essentially helping the farmers to take away the middleman and then the issues of getting loans, sanctions, and move forward in their careers. That is something are also happening, which are part of PPP.
And just so that the audience takes something, what is the name of one or two of those applications that they could tell their family members? Where can they download it from?
So they can search Krishi DSS. They can search
Krishi DSS.
DSS, Decision Support System. They can search Crop Track. These are some of the platforms that we have sort of developed with government to deliver services to the end users.
And I think Sir's question also sparked another question, which I would like to ask. What are some of those government websites? What are some of those private company websites that people can access for data, for information on schemes, for information on investments that they can seek? Where can the students and all the institutions of Gujarat access to leverage what is out there?
So from a technology standpoint,
I think we can go around the table and everyone could share their thoughts.
So from a technology standpoint, we have opendata.gov.in.
Opendata.gov.in.
That's a Government of India website where you'll get a lot of data openly available for people to access and innovate and build further. Right? There is Bhuvan. Now, Bhuvan is a website developed again by Government of India. National Remote Sensing Center has developed that website that can give you location-based information across India with different resolutions, satellite images, vector data, raster data, a lot of geospatial data that can be downloaded for free. And then, of course, one can play around and tinker around with
Open data, Bhuvan.
Bhuvan.
Yes.
I think these are the two platforms that I would, from a technology and GeoAI standpoint, would recommend.
That's great.
I would add up to there is understanding, or there should be an understanding of what is the data that should be accessible and how can you further use it, right? So any data which is commercial, PII is obviously going to be masked, you would not get access to it. Any data which is demographic or which is more of like satellite sensing, which gives you overall information of the area, sector, and essentially the business model, that is the area that you would have to engage yourselves to get access to. If you are looking for a data which is going to be very specific to any businesses and their books and stuff like that, that's not going to be available. So when you are picking up your journeys in terms of understanding a business model, it is best to take this for your research purposes and then involve with any of these parties to move forward. I mean, it's not going to be everything offline. So understand there is a long mile where you have to run half the way, getting the data which is publicly available and access that. And then there is going to be certain amount of data for which you have to move ahead and then collaborate with other organizations to move forward.
Got it.
So I would like to add two government data
Yes,
sources. One of them is DIL-RMP. So it
How do you
covers
spell it?
DIL
DIL
RMP.
RMP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it includes the digitization drive and the efforts, across all the states.
So this is the digitization drive on?
in terms of data.
Okay.
Land record data.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
So it also includes, maps of these particular survey numbers wherein the mapping has already been done.
Got it.
So that is one of the important websites which the
Okay.
students can go through and
Yes.
research out.
That's great.
And second, I would say Bhu Naksha again is the government.
Bhu Naksha.
Yeah. Government of India initiative. Although this is not inclusive for all the 28 states plus cities, but I think in 8 to 10 states, there is an access for general public to provide the input data in terms of village, taluka, district, and the survey number or plot number.
Okay.
And then get the along with the adjoining survey number data also for that particular.
Understood.
boundary.
Understood.
So I think those are the two.
Amazing. And also just, taking a small pivot, we spoke about data that's important to create IP, etc. Where can they get funding for, from the government to scale their startups or scale their innovations and technology? When we talk about PPP and we look at that element, what's available out there? Or what more can a DFI like NABARD do to accelerate it?
I think Startup India again is a program, Government of India initiative where they encourage the startups to showcase their solutions, and then there are programs wherein they can get the respective training and fine tune their solutions before they go and hit the market. For solutions that are investment ready, there is already programs for connecting directly to the investors.
So where do they go to get this connect?
Startup India is the
Startup India,
website
okay.
where they can get.
Okay. What can DFIs like NABARD do more to accelerate PPP, to accelerate innovations at the last mile and drive adoption?
I think NABARD has a lot of initiatives, but like Manthan already mentioned that there are initiatives which are launched by organizations and launched by the Government of India. The end mile, the farmers or the beneficiaries do not actually know about it. So then there are two different programs which have been running by NABARD as such. One is identifying, creating those chat assets or chat bots for you to ask the questions of that this is my profile, what fits best for
Got
me.
it. Scheme
And
access
give you-
basis of profiling of
They'll
the.
give you the list of schemes
Correct.
that can benefit you.
Does it
Number-
already exist, or you're saying should be developed?
It is in the making.
Okay.
The pilot is already out. It should be available in few months. The other initiative is like SSPL, who's launching 38 services across the board, out of which 13 was launched yesterday. You would have seen. There are a huge focus on AI chatbots, or call it assist, which gives you can do a chat interface kind of an experience, ask a question, get a response, and then further use that for purposes. And I think modulator is on the table.
Yeah, they're
which
just
would mean that we have
pressurizing
to
me to
stop
end
ourselves.
also.
If we have mics would be taken if we don't stop.
No, they won't take the mics. You can continue if you do. But thanks a lot to everyone. Thanks for patiently listening.